Those new weight loss drugs everyone's talking about are helping many Americans shed pounds. But new statistics obtained by the King 5 investigators show there is another side to the story. Chris Ingalls reports.
I hadn't even heard of this stuff. I'd heard the song, you know, Ozempic, of course, catchy tune.
You're here for the struggle bus?
Once Lee Thomas of Issaquah did become familiar with what are called GLP-1 drugs and started using them.
A little bit vulnerable post because I don't think many people know this.
He rocketed to a sort of internet fame on his TikTok account.
Lee Thomas started taking Ozempic a year ago.
Soon, network news shows and even Oprah came calling to book him on her special about GLP-1s.
And he's noticed it has silenced what he calls the food noise in his brain. Lee, tell us what that means for you.
So they had seen my TikToks and invited me out.
He's a believer in the drugs, often known by brand names like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Zepbound, and has heard many success stories.
But sprinkled throughout those stories were stories of people who had a very bad reaction.
And if you did need to go into the hospital, how close are you to the nearest hospital?
And those are some of the growing numbers of people who are making frantic calls here.
If you guys need help with anything, call us back.
To the Washington Poison Center hotline in Seattle.
We're seeing a lot of the same thing, increase in the number of calls, which is often related to medication errors, unintentional overdose of it.
The chief clinical officer says his staff now fields dozens of GLP-1 related calls a month, most of them users who injected too much of the drug.
Essentially what happens is they get really short-term overdose, and they will have really bad nausea and vomiting and inability to tolerate oral medication or oral anything, right? They can't take water, can't take juice, can't take food.
Records we requested from the Poison Center show 421 GLP-1 calls in 2025. That's double the number from a year earlier.
Oftentimes what happens with poison centers in this type of situation is you see a spike in the number of cases and then it drops. We have not seen that drop. We are just continuing to rise.
But if you get this wrong and you pull a little too much, now you're overdosing yourself.
Many of the medications come in vials with syringes, and you inject yourself at home. In effect, you are your own nurse.
This has got 10, 15, 20, right? They're different numberings and different systems.
Syringes may have varying measurements, and instructions may not be clear.
Having people do this at home is going to lead to errors. I'm an attorney, try to think of myself as pretty smart, and I had to do a lot of research and figure out how am I supposed to do this correctly without overdosing or underdosing myself.
I have been in the hospital now since January the 2nd due to GLP-1s.
Sean Rose, a small business owner outside Chicago, put his experience on social media.
Hey guys, so I wanted to give you guys an update on my GLP-1 saga. And I've been throwing up in our bucket here. And I kid you not, I was so sick that I thought I was dying.
How many times did you end up going to the hospital?
4 times in total. Admitted twice, released through the ER twice.
At its worst, how serious was this?
At one point, they told me if I wouldn't have came in, if I wouldn't have came in when I did, I would have probably died.
Sean Rose insists he took the proper dosage. Regulators in the state of Illinois are now investigating whether the drug he received was tainted or if he experienced an unusually bad reaction.
I've never really seen people really talking about the negative side effects.
The Washington Poison Center says few of its callers require a hospital visit.
Every case is going to be different. You don't need to run off to the ER. If somebody's awake, alert, able to talk, give us a call. We're here 24/7, 800-222-1222. We're always willing to answer your question.
People want to get on them, which I get, but I just want people to do it safely, right? I don't want people feeling like they want to get these meds and then rush into it.
If you OD on this stuff, usually you feel bad for a few days and then it goes away. But to keep from those overdoses in the first place, experts at the Poison Center say ask a lot of questions up front. How much should you take? An explanation of conversions like units to millimeters. Do they have videos to show you how to do all that? It's a red flag if you're getting these drugs through a telehealth website, for example, and they don't have people to help you find the answers. That's the thing. You want to make sure you know what you're doing with this.
Yeah, and Chris, is there any specific brand that's been a problem here?
I wouldn't say a specific brand, Madison. It can be what are called the compounded versions that are sold through telehealth sites, for example. They have the same active ingredient, but they're in more of a regulatory gray area. Again, ask lots of questions and make sure you're comfortable with the answers. It's a red flag if there's nobody to talk to you.
Yeah, and always best to ask your doctor as
well.
well.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, Chris Ingalls reporting. Thank you.
Yeah.